Hey everybody, it's your best friend Drew, 30-year comic book industry veteran and lifelong fanboy of comics, all things comics. And, another episode of Comics from my spinner rack. Some of these I've yanked out of my spinner rack, and others I just purchased that will find a nice home in my spinner rack. So, let's get to Micra. I reviewed a previous issue, and I really liked it. And this cover here is a total nod to Patrick Nagel. If you don't know who the artist is, he did the Duran Duran Rio cover. And if you went anywhere to get your hair cut, any salon or anywhere, they had a Patrick Nagel, like, huge glass image on the wall and stuff like that, which is very stylish. And I love this cover so much. It's really, and the design and everything. So it is my control remote automaton, and that's essentially it. There's a woman who's sort of like in an iron lung, and it's published by Comics Interview, which was David Anthony Kraft's interview magazine. He decided to publish comics as well. So, and here's the thing. Look at the credits. I don't know anybody except Dwight John Zimmerman, who did a lot of reviews and did a lot of fanzine stuff for Amazing Heroes and some other stuff. But really cool stuff, though. I love this, the Zipatone effects by the Zip Sisters. Kami Bunthanakit, I apologize, and Amy Chwan. But I really enjoyed this issue. I'm going to have to try and hunt down all of them. And I love the Zipatone going on. It's great, you know. I love this. Micra zaps this guy, and the second panel looks a lot like a Gene Colan image. And I don't think it's a swipe. I just think this guy's, he plays around a lot with different styles. He's still trying to find himself. But, you know, I mean, if I was Marvel, I'd hire him. Especially considering by, you know, the late 80s, you know, Marvel started to fall down a little bit. It was like a hiccup. So, like that. That's pretty spectacular there. But, yeah. Good pencils, good inks. Okay. Yeah, well, actually, all the art, let me see, is by Ted, I'm not going to say the last name, I don't want to ruin it, and Lamar Waldron is the writer. It's a solid read. It's a real, and speaking of that, look at the line work on her face. And I take it way back, and we're talking like Brian Bolland quality here. And I love the inks on that face there. That's very Butch Geis in the middle. It's got a nice, so it's just beautiful stuff. Story-wise and visual-wise. This is insane, but it's beautiful. And the story really flows. You know, you don't get lost. Even if I hadn't read the other issue that I have, you know, in a year or two. So this woman has a remote control. Later on in Iron Man, Len Kaminsky would have Tony Stark paralyzed, and he would have a remote armored suit that would serve the purpose. So, however, in this case, if this robot gets crushed, so will the woman who is guiding it. So, pretty heavy premise, but it's done very well. Really recommend this. So, now we go to Sleepwalker. One of the many books that came out during the Comics Glut, but it was kind of like a rising tide lifts all boats. I mean, there was a lot of shit, but Sleepwalker lasted, I don't know, like 2-3 years, and then you had stuff like Darkhawk, which was a total out of nowhere character who didn't really, I mean, the art that Mike Manley did was strong comic book graphics, but it wasn't like that cross-hatching in the face. It wasn't the extreme studio type stuff that was so prevalent in so many other books. And similarly, Sleepwalker, guest starring Ghost Rider, is pretty cool. It's written by Bob Budiansky, who he was the editor, an assistant editor on books in the late 70s, early 80s, and he also drew like the last year of Ghost Rider with the Johnny Blaze, the original run in the early 80s. And then he did a Submariner miniseries that was pretty cool too. Brett Blevins, yeah, he's been around. He did New Mutants. He did a lot of the Cloak and Dagger, I think, and an early Jimmy Palmiotti and Michael Baer are inkers. So what's cool about this, though, is it really has a what year is this? What years? Oh, 1992. So yeah, already by this time, Kelly Jones was making a name for himself doing the hard graphics. The only thing I'm going to complain about is, let me see, is that it's a little thin. It's like the bodies kind of blend into each other. And Marie Javins is a good colorist, but I was thinking maybe a little darker to distinguish the two, but that's me. And, crazy storytelling, too. It goes like up to there and into there. Hey, I love that. So, meanwhile, Daniel Ketch touches the Ghost Rider because innocent blood has been spilt. And this was like, I guarantee you, Bob Buddy Ansky said to Brett Blevins, let me give you a nice splash page to sell. You deserve it. You tell good stories. Let's give you some pages you could sell. And he's freeing Sleepwalker. And that's Sleepwalker. When you're sleepwalking, that's where the character comes from. But there's a drip. Hits the dog in the nose first. That's a great Brett Blevins type thing. Like a cartoony type touch. So Sleepwalker is getting ready to go because Daniel Ketch is almost waking up. Boom, crash, boom, crash. Sorry, everybody. So he's about to use his pen and stare. However, Sleepwalker stops him because he needs information. So I love all this, folded, like tattered type outfit details. Nice stuff here. Between the two of them, they got great speaking lettering captions. Do not escape, Ghost Rider. I seek to stop your senseless attack. Spilling innocent blood is senseless. So, drag Sleepwalker around. However, Sleepwalker can fly. As I rise, so must you rise. If I fall, so must you. Bam! I love that. So, it's a more even fight than I thought it was when I was starting to read it. I thought he was getting his ass handed to him, but it was pretty cool. And Sleepwalker has its fans, and I can totally see why. And it's not just because of the action. The backstory is pretty strong as well. And, Ghost Rider was in here, of course, to help boost sales, but, it worked, and everything kind of was selling at the time. Very few things didn't. At least with Marvel's output until it got, really crazy. So, there's a lot of the books that are coming out at the time. I'm not going to read them all to you. You can always freeze frame it. So, now we go into Legion of Superheroes. This is shortly after, less than a year after Keith Giffen left Legion of Superheroes to do Omega Men, and then he did a lot of fill-in stuff. Then he did some independent work too. He worked with, did some Thunder Agent stories, and he did a little this, a little that. It did like a Daredevil fill-in with Wolverine, issue 249, I think, maybe not. But anyway, Steve Lytle, who had previously, excuse me, this is before he did, brought back Doom Patrol. So, great cover. It's, and Timberwolf's the coolest, and Block's pretty cool too. There's a lot of cool characters. And it's Paul Levitz, longtime writer. He's probably the best Legion writer, I would say. Yeah, I'd say so. I don't know, him and Jim Shooter are probably tied. I could be wrong. But I've read a lot more Paul Levitz than I had Shooter's early era. And, Block is there. They're doing a membership drive. And meanwhile, Timberwolf is on this crazy-ass planet as a as a Karate Kid dies, so as his last wish, Timberwolf is going to this crazy like S&M planet where you go there to fight, and it's not made clear. I reread this. I read it twice, and the planet's name is Lethal. It's just spelled fancy. The only inhabited planet of the G-Ware system, colonized 73 years ago under the the Planethead's Freedom of Behavior Act and Council, currently under quarantine for casual visitors, and all immigrants must have to sign waivers and responsibility for. But rumored paradise continues to attract the warped and foolish. So that's a bit vague, but it's just an odd thing. It's like a test of manhood, quote unquote. So I don't know why he saddled Timberwolf with that, but he was going to meet Karate Kid Sensei and let him know Karate Kid died. I think that was probably the gist of the whole thing. It just wasn't spelled out as clear. And Timberwolf's costume's so cool. I love that. He's their Wolverine. So, but I can't remember who had the brown and orange first. Not important. Both cool characters. And like Karate Kid, Timberwolf was another physical character. Instead of just pointing and shooting ice and shooting, ray beams and stuff. So there's Mon-El, who had a short-lived series called Valor in the early 90s that lasted about 20 issues or so. I love that costume, Invisible Kid, the second one. So, a little Wolverine action. His eyes are turning black or red. So, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. It's interesting to see the post-Giffen era of Legion. Now we got Racer X by Now Comics, which published, I think they did a lot of licensed books, but they also had their own books. And Racer X, I can't resist getting this. It's in shitty shape, but we pay nothing for it practically. It is by Fred Schiller, George Booker, Brian Thomas, and the colors are by Rich Powers. It's just really, really sweet. Now, I got a big complaint with this now. The story's pretty good. The art's pretty good. Actually, the art's really nice. It's just, I know there's maybe too many panels. I kind of get that. But the car is so minimized. And that's my big problem with this, is there is a good story, but you want more of the car and you want more of Racer X in costume. So this just looks like this could be any book. Okay, here we go. Let me look real quick. Okay, look at this page. There is nothing that tells you it's a Racer X comic. And I'm not saying it has to say, oh, Racer X, but do you read this and say, oh, it's Racer X? No. Even with the monkey, it's not Chim Chim from... so here we go. Yeah, Terminator, see? Now it was getting ahead of the game, and Dark Horse was doing the same thing. And this is okay. I'm not faulting the creators at all. Well, I think the writer could have truncated some of the non-Racer X stuff, because it's issue friggin' 1. That's got a nice cover there. It looks a little bit like guys trying to do a Steve Rude bit on there, and it works. But, yeah, okay. This is Racer X, everybody. Yeah, there's Ralph Snart. Great book by Now Comics that I bought. And see? So, it's like, I'm not coming back. Oh, here we go. Love this. Beat of Fools. I got my copies by subscription. I'd save $6. Don't be a reject. Subscribe to Now Comics. Now, you too can flaunt your feeble-minded fiends like I do. So, this was a total dud. Dud. A real squandered opportunity. Shame. So, now Marvel Age. I don't pick up a lot of these. And it's so odd that they made a an omnibus of Marvel Age, which is it's DC's, excuse me, well, there's a slip. It's Marvel's in-house house organ, slash fanzine, and I love it. I love how they changed the logo just for Iron Man on this page. This is about to announce the Armor Wars, baby, covered by regular artist, our team of Mark Bright and Babyface Bob Layton. So I really like this book, but there were a lot of. I picked up other ones before. It's like, I know these are all out. It's a good timestamp, but if I don't think it'd be something I could binge in a omnibus format. That's kind of cool there. See, but this is just kind of give you coming attractions, and a lot of at the time the direct market was taken off, and people were getting this information anyway in a flyer at their local comic shop. So, but here we go. Now this is pretty sweet. It's the one of the early. That's the sub-oceanic Iron Man exploratory armor. Now these are ones that, to my knowledge, have never been used. I think this one got used when Iron Man went to West Coast Avengers, and after the Armor Wars. So that's okay there. But this last one's pretty cool. It looks very, you know what though? It looks like a robot. I guess maybe because the arms are small, but it's pretty sweet. Keeps you updated on everything, and I love it because, man, that was like I started buying the book again on a regular basis. And you got a Fred Hembeck page, lovely stuff. Warriors 3. This is a fantastic. Raven Banner is the name of a graphic novel by Charles Vess, who's known mostly for covers at Marvel, but I have to buy this now. I'd forgotten that it existed, because I do remember enjoying it. And you got Mobius, a little everything going on here, and you get new talent department. So that who's doing it? I'm trying to think of who. Well, it's being reviewed by Chris Panzetta. I don't know that name, but I have seen like Mark Grunwald, and I've seen other people. Judge this stuff, and I think it's healthy. I think it was a real good format there. We got Marvel Age, kind of going back a bit. Jeff Neely's letter column title. They just decided this one guy, Jeff Neely, said, "Hey." So this is a rare image here. The Hulk and Mutant. No, I'm Rocky the Flying Squirrel. So the beginning of the David McFarlane era, which is some of the best. I really enjoyed this. I really, really greatly enjoyed this as a throwback. This was just a waste. I remember seeing it actually in the stands. The Phantom of the Attic in Monroeville, Pennsylvania. It was a comic shop, and I looked through. I was like, $1.75 for that, and at the time, DC and Marvel were like 75 cents. So, and that's pretty cool. But I think it would be better. It would make a better story if you read it in a bunch of them in a row, because this really didn't explain the logic totally to my satisfaction. And this was fun. And then there's Micra. Oh yeah, that's sweet. That's so cool. I love that costume. That cover. Anyway, I hope you like these. Let me know what you think. Have you ever read any of these books? Did you like Legion of Superheroes? Did turn you on when Keith Giffen came along with Paul Levitz and really shake things up? Did any of you read Sleepwalker or picked up anything with Ghost Rider? There was a lot of that. And any of the indie stuff, let me know what you think. There's Now Comics and Comics Interview. They didn't last into the 90s. Now did a little bit, but it just held on by a thread. So everybody, that's it. Tell me what you think. Tell me, maybe you turned on with something new. Did you buy the Marvel Age Omnibus? Do you think it's worth it? That's all, everybody. I wish you well. Bye.